The other thing that drew me to this is it's kind of built like a tank. These carts didn't exist in April. I have a feeling these are going to be used a lot. Okay, everybody, it's time to be really safe.
Hello and welcome back to another URSA exclusive. This time we're here in Santa Monica, California with Devendra Cleary.
Hey there. Welcome to my soft prep paradise.
I can't wait to get into your kit, shall we?
Sure, of course.
Awesome, let's dive right in.
Devendra Cleary is an LA-based production sound mixer originally from Denver, Colorado. He got an early start mixing sound when he was only 18 while still in college, which helped him land his first big break in 2001 as a sound utility on Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Over the next decade, he would go on to refine his sound department knowledge as a boom op and utility on a number of shows, including Firefly, Ugly Betty, and Glee. Devendra made the jump to mixing in the 2009 indie feature Paper Heart. From there, he would find the bulk of his work as a sound mixer on major TV shows like The Last Man on Earth and Schooled. In this episode, Devendra walks us through his brand new carts, which I have to say are some of the most beautifully organized arrangements of sound gear I've ever seen. Then we sit down to talk about what he's been doing as he prepares to deploy his new kit on his first post-pandemic shoot for Netflix show Dear White People.
What did you start out with? When you started mixing, what was your, let's go back.
Ooh, I'm trying to think, like, how far should we really go back? My first recorder was, actually, it was a Fostex FR2. If you ever
I've never
saw
used
those
one
in
of
your
those.
film schools. I came up during like Nagra and DAT days and the earliest part of file-based recording. But I was always a utility and a boom operator during those times, so I wasn't immersed in building my own kit yet. But once I did start doing a lot of my own documentary type things, my first recorder after that, for the FR2, was a Sound Devices 744T, which I still own, and I don't see any reason to get rid of it. Took it all over the world with me. Took it to Europe, took it to Canada. After the 744T, and I started moving into more cart-based work, or at least aspirations to do cart-based work, I bought a used Diva 5 from Phil Palmer, and I bought a Mix 12, which is really similar to this, all Zaxcom, and I started my mixing career with that. My first show was called The Goodwin Games. It's like a Fox half-hour comedy. That was the gear that was deployed on that. A couple years went by into my mixing career, and immediately it seemed like the need was for a higher track count. And everyone was wiring everybody, and I saw the writing on the wall. I knew that not everybody worked that way. I'm philosophically not 100% on board with that's the way to do it, but we do it all.
Yeah.
So in scripted television, we boom everything. We still wire everybody. It seemed like a lot of shows the cast counts were going up and not down, and things were getting more complicated and not simpler.
Yeah. So you wanted to have those options.
So
I get it.
I upgraded at that point from the Diva to a different system that some of us were sort of trailblazing with, and it was when you use a Yamaha 01V, and Dante was pretty new, at least for us, and that would go one Cat 5 into a Sound Devices 970, but at the time the 970 didn't exist, so it was a Pix 260.
Yeah.
Had all the tracks I ever needed. I used that system though for 5-6 years on many TV shows, but when it came time to upgrade, and my eyes started to wander around, and I thought, what would be a kit that can satisfy just the ruggedness that we need in location sound, and then the flexibility that we need in tracks? And Aton and Kantar just kept checking every single box. I mean, even if you use it in its most simplistic way, you can input 12, and that's not that many for this day and age. I mean, you run out after you've wired 8 cast members, and you have 2 booms, and you have your fader for your talkbacks that your boom operators wear. You're already out of inputs.
Yep.
So there's another layer of AES inputs, which are the digital ins, and all that really requires is some converter boxes.
Right.
The other way to go in here is Dante, so these can feed Dante into it as well.
And what are you doing?
At the moment, it's just analog.
Okay.
It's just the way I set it up, because firmware-wise, the Dante options weren't really ready for this set up yet.
Interesting.
So I plugged it all in, I patched it all in analog within the Bret plate so that this is the heart of the system is ready to go anywhere. But I have a little bit of time, and I think I may rip the guts out of it a little bit, undo the analog interconnects, and put a little switch in there and have it be Dante, and then have these be analog in. And then at that point, I can get rid of my digital converters that I have tucked away in the back.
Right, okay.
So it'd just be 12 to 12, and then these would go in Dante. Or I may rip these out completely and have them permanently on a remote rig that goes to the set if I have to be super far away from the set.
I'm very visual and color based. I mean, that alone for me, I know that might sound silly, but the color coordination is just very eye-catching and very focusing for me. And these screens are just gorgeous.
Yeah. The X3 has been around forever, like 2014 or 15 it came out. And I always knew about it, but it kind of flew under my radar. It flew outside of my radar for some reason. I just never really saw it as an option. Maybe I felt like it was priced out of my league. But this piece is what really drew me to it, because this huge screen, all this information that's in front of you for every single input, output, how it's being powered, if you have EQ, if your limiter is on. The other thing that drew me to this is it's kind of built like a tank.
Yeah.
Like, these aren't even faders
wow.
that have...
Are they magnetized?
It's just magnets.
Oh my God.
There's no slit in the chassis of the board for dirt and dust and moisture to get into.
Oh my God.
There's some kind of I don't even know how they do it engineering-wise, but there's a magnetic ball, and it makes it so I believe this thing is as sealed up as it could possibly be.
That's
it's just,
amazing.
It's just a freaking tank. And whether the day consists of me just doing a single boom and like this one person lobbed, this is the kit, or if I have everything going, including up to second blue, orange, red, and yellow.
Yeah.
Because there's a first blue, orange, red, yellow, but now there's a second one because I ran out of colors.
What would get us in to the second blue and orange? We have a bunch of cast, we have booms.
Yeah.
Do you use any like ambiance mics or anything like that?
Sometimes there's plug-ons. Like a good example would be like cast members 1 through 8 on the call sheet are right here. I have actually 3 lavs that are talkbacks only that have little switches on them. I have all 3 of those patched into this input.
Oh.
So the track 13 fader, I have 3 sources going into it. So I don't need to have 3 faders for my guys where I either want to have all my guys have the ability to talk to me or they're turned off. So then there's that. I have a fader especially for music. And that's just for when I have
an earwig situation?
Yeah, or even just over a speaker. Coming in from my laptop, I go into another converter and then AES into the Atom. Then I can control the laptop and how it outputs. And I can make it not go to the mix track. I could silence the track. I could lay down the track of the music. So then after that, say 1 through 8 of the cast is also wired, but then we have a couple other cast members that have 1 or 2 lines. Say there's 4 of them that have that. And then, you know, say there's 6 more actors that have that. Then I also have plug-ons that are on these same blocks that could be on either of these 4. This is all trim for this. Because these 2 accessories, they're all USB.
Okay. Let's move on to your wireless. How about that?
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have Electrosonics.
Great. Love Electro.
These Venue ones I've had for maybe the last 6 years. I bought them like around the time that I was just moving up to mixing. God, they're so robust and reliable. I mean, they're getting long in the tooth. But I started the desire to upgrade, and I thought about going Venue 2. And then I ran into Gordon Moore at the CAS Awards maybe 2 years ago, and I had heard a rumor of these D-squareds coming out. And I think I had enough wine in me to just be a little ballsy and just confront him, and I was like...
He's so friendly too, that helps.
So friendly. And I was like, are you guys coming out with like a portable, 4-channel receiver, and I described it, and he was like, we are. You send me an email on Monday.
Oh my God, that's
Emailed
great.
them, and I got on the beta test team.
Oh, that's awesome.
So then they sent me one.
Yeah.
And I just put it through the rigors and, tested it all out. I was so impressed with it because I use Wireless Designer, which I don't have set up right now, but chances are the laptop will be out and I'll always have Wireless Designer up. This impressed me because it's kind of like having wireless designer right in front of you.
Right, those beautiful screens.
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
It just really catches the eye on the info that you need. And I've always used Electro IFBs for my boom operators. I recently, like 6 years ago, sold off all my Comtex. And I thought, all right, well, I'll get all VHF IFBs, if you're familiar with those, to replace the Comtex.
And what was the benefit to that, you felt?
Well, as far as the receiver boxes, I just wanted something just metal and like a tank, and you know they're going to get dropped.
Yeah.
So I wanted to clear out Comtex. I went the VHF route just with the intention of moving IFB out of the UHF range, which so far I haven't done. These are great, but the range isn't as good as what I feel like my boom operators really want.
Yeah.
So for a while it was just boom operators and then clients, and I realized there are some clients that get real far away from me, and sometimes that I might be tucked way around the corner, or I might be around Video Village and it has plenty of range for these, but the director needs something as long range as the boom operators do. So I got a second channel of UHF, and I just hand those off to the director and the script supervisor. It's kind of like the heroes get those.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll show you. These are the newest addition to the kit.
Ooh, beautiful. Look at that.
These so far are just for my boom ops, and that's what the boom ops
They're so small.
wear. Yeah.
Ooh, look at that.
So my guys, I think, will be really happy that they get to use those.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then in the back, which we can like do some shots of later, there's a patch bay for all the remaining, the first 3 outputs are being used for this. The Kantar has 8 outputs, like 8 analog outputs. First 3 are being used for that. So there's 5 more, so on the back of the patch bay, there's just 5 XLRs coming out.
This is such a clean rig all around. I love it.
Oh, thank you.
I hate when I look behind something and there's just like a mess of cable. That gives me anxiety. This is so nice.
This is the messiest part. This is like a Dante connection that if I put a Sound Devices 970 up on top, I would just run this cable to it, and it'll be every single track that's being recorded on the Kantar is now basically shareable. 5 additional outputs I was telling you about. One of them's already going up to an XLR. I also have a USB connector, which goes from the D-squareds, and it goes into this hub and connects the venues, and that's how I get wireless designer information from all of them. I put these on there. 3 IFB antenna inputs, and those all go up. These 2 cables are from the Betso Sharky ins, and then those go into the D-squareds and they loop in and out, and then they loop out into the venues. So it's 2 antennas for all 4 of those receivers.
Nice.
The manual that you read for Lectrosonics receivers is that you should only loop 3 of them together, but you kind of get this sense. If you've tried to do 4 and it works, it works. And I've even gotten that from Lectro. They're like, yeah, that's just, we said that as a safety. You can loop 4 of them together and you'll be fine. And then the only other thing on the patch bay is 4 more analog ins. And the reason for that is everything is patched into the Kantar from the D-squareds. But there's 12 analog inputs. So these 4 analog ins come from the first 4 of the venue ones. So those just go, so all this gets unplugged. It's still only, it takes me maybe like 5-10 minutes. I unplug everything.
Still not bad.
I have a quick release, even though it's not quick to release all this stuff. And then that whole thing comes off, and I can take that into a process trailer rig.
Oh, that's great.
And these funky little boxes are kind of meant to be hidden behind the curtain. They're called AJA boxes, ADA4s. They're basically a 4 analog input, and 4 digital output. They just straight up convert analog signal to digital. So the next 8 channels of the venue ones after those 4 go into these boxes first. And then it spits them out AES.
Interesting.
So you have to convert it to digital. It's behind the curtain, and I can totally get rid of those if I hook up my D-squareds Dante and the venue ones analog.
That's so nice to have so many options though. Yeah, absolutely.
Options are definitely the best.
Yep.
And then this funky looking thing is a Thunderbolt hub. I have an old MacBook Air, so it still hooks up Thunderbolt. And this allows me to control anything with Dante. So Dante controller here. All the venue ones are plugged into USB there. And then I have this little Motu box hidden in there. That's actually my Pro Tools interface.
Oh, nice. What about power? How is this all being powered?
This is all being powered with a PowerStar Life This has a little fan on there because this one was converted, modified to power an inverter when I used the Yamaha mixer that needed AC. Yeah.
And how long, like with just what you have here fully charged, how long would this last you?
The tests I've been doing have really only been going about 4.5 hours of like fully charged,
house power.
And it's with these two.
Okay.
So yeah, generally I'm not without house power for that long. If there was a time where I was gonna need to definitely just be self-sufficient power-wise, I can stack some more of these batteries together.
Cool.
Just have several of these on hand, maybe.
Can we open this up?
Sure. It's just a
I love these so much.
Tele battery by PSC.
So beautiful. Yeah. All right, this is great. And what about the wheels? When you got this cart, did you modify the wheels?
No, that's how they come.
Really?
The Backstage TR1, which is a cart like this, but it's just shorter, and it has, it's probably about this tall, and then it has the rear height is like this, but you put a shelf like this, which they call a Nagra shelf.
Yeah.
They all come with these wheels. Stages can sometimes be the most rugged places you can go. Like,
really?
I mean, sure, being on dirt roads and stuff is not easy, but sometimes just all the
cabling,
everything, you just want to, you don't want to be like, what am I going to do? Lift.
Yeah.
So this thing kind of just powers over all that like a tank.
That's awesome.
Yeah, monitors are tricky because, you know, it takes up valuable real estate. And you buy say a Blackmagic that takes up 3, like I don't have 3 rack spaces to spare here unless I want to like cover this, but I don't really.
This is a smart mounting idea though, because you don't have to give up rack space. That's awesome.
I switched to these because whenever I had these as kind of spare monitors for my smaller kit, or for when I was doing insert car work, like this would be my go-to monitor, and I just started noticing how much better they looked, how much brighter they were, because they're daylight viewable, so they're super bright.
Yeah.
Little lights they're LEDs, but they can either be in bright mode. This was for when I would need to light up my script pages here.
Yeah, of course.
But I think those are going away, so I don't really need it for that. I probably just want it to be shining down on the panel.
It is nice to have this more dark mode though.
Dark mode is really handy. Yeah. If I use it if I'm next to the director, which probably won't happen post-COVID either, but it just if you're in a really dark space and
somebody's lit it beautifully, you don't want to kill that for sure.
I have a couple extra power cables ready to go. That's for if I want to do a backup recorder and I have a Pix 260 still laying around. And obviously I would just feed that with Ethernet Dante, power it with DC. And the reason there's 2 is if I put a Comtech base station right here for earwigs, its power source is ready to go. And I don't need to plug in the power supply in the wall where it's just, this comes directly from the PSC. So it's just DC. And then this is just a jam cable. It's beautiful. I could hang it. I haven't really decided. It's all new as well. I have a feeling these are going to be used a lot first thing in the morning on post-COVID sets when the AD is
you want to give us a little demonstration?
Like, okay, everybody, it's time to be really safe. Social distance, 6 feet away. And then as soon as the first AD has it, I go, congratulations, that is now your bullhorn that you get to keep for the run of the show. And I have a few different sizes.
And then you're their best friend because you brought them a bullhorn.
Yeah, I mean, I'll carry it for them if they want. If they're like, I can't carry it. But once an AD uses it, we're going to put their name on it, and it's just theirs. And I'm going to try to carry enough of them so that 2 different AD teams can have them.
That's great, yeah.
I'm definitely not a proponent of like buying cheap equipment, but this is a different thing. These are like $14.99 on Amazon. So this is an Anchor, which translates to not very good sounding speaker. So it doesn't sound great.
But it's something.
But
that's still nice.
For voice, whenever I do dialogue playback, I use this thing. And I just plug in a plug-on transmitter on my end that's tuned to the frequency of this little baby receiver. And whatever I got going on my laptop feeds to here. And I just have my boom op or my utility run this out and hide it on set somewhere.
It's brilliant.
And it was one thing that we did a lot on my last show called Schooled. We would do morning announcements, or there would be a phone call.
Something the actors have to react to.
Something the actors have to react to. And, you can have the stand-in read the off-camera, but if I had the recording of the scene that maybe we shot 2 days prior of the principal saying whatever he's saying into the microphone.
Attention, students and faculty. I have a brief announcement to make. The Effective immediately, I will be taking a leave of absence, and Earl Ball will be your new head of school.
Oh no, poor John.
Long overdue.
My friend needs me!
I'll just pull what I think is the best complete take, and then say it's a day later, I'll just walk up to the director before we rehearse and I say, hey, I have that. Do you want me to just play it? And they're like 9 times out of 10, they're like, yes, that would be awesome. Can you do that? Is that like, they're always surprised though. They're like, is that a huge pain in the ass? Like, don't do it if it's gonna be a huge pain in the ass. And I'm like, no, here, I'll just run this out. And they're like, thank you for doing that. And
looking through, you know, even just this beautifully organized area, that bag, your follow card, I mean, this really speaks to the fact that you've done every job on it in sound. You've been a boom operator, you've been utility, you've done playback, I'm sure you've been a cable person. How has that affected how you organize your entire kit?
It was really rewarding to be a utility in my day. I worked with a lot of really great sound mixers. I worked with some where you also learn what ways you wouldn't do something. The transition I went through as a utility, well, the transition that the industry was going through was on Buffy, we didn't wire anybody. It would be a thing to wire them, like, oh, we need to wire them for the Steadicam shot. Otherwise, everything was captured on the boom. 5-person walk and talks. I watched Kevin Hyde boom with the Sennheiser 816.
Oh my God.
Walking backwards, and I'm pulling cable behind him, and he's stepping over gravestones, and I'm tapping them, and that's how we recorded the dialogue for shows.
Well, the wrong thing. We need the world and the underworld to believe that Buffy is alive and well.
But then cut to a few years later, the way they were shooting things on Ugly Betty, that was a show I was a utility on for 2 years while it filmed in LA. Booming was almost impossible on some of the sets, so wires became really important. So in parallel to my career, this was also happening on other shows without me seeing it. It was just happening in parallel throughout our industry. Everybody was going, oh man, we're wiring everybody. And when I came up, it was the boom op that knew how to wire, because the utility was just the utility was just a pair of hands that's there to like run and go do that, go grab that.
That's so not how I think of a utility
Go pull
now.
the mixer's car up at wrap and those kind of things, like benefits.
So sound PA. Basically.
So wires really, honestly, it was a union. It was it wasn't as much of an expertise position as it is now. And now with wires, that gifted the utility position kind of some clout and some cred in. It's like one of the last people to see the actors before they go on screen.
That's just it. I mean, you interface directly with so many people. As a mixer, you know, you're tucked back sometimes in a little corner. But as a utility, you're talking to the talent, the producers, the grips.
I actually miss it. I miss being a boom. I mean, I would not go back because I feel very rewarded in my sound mixing career. But I miss being like right there with the camera operators and the focus pullers. And you know, on some productions that might be the case. On maybe like a run and gun style shoot, you're all there as like a small family. But yeah, a lot of my career is now spent, and it's going to continue to go this way because of COVID. My cart is tucked around that corner. Got my antennas sticking up, and people don't have to see me all day if they don't want to. And I do miss people. Even before COVID, the last 5 years of my career mixing, I'm thinking, man, I miss just being right there. So sometimes I'll just get up. I got to get my steps in. So I'll walk to set.
You got to learn from your mentor, the sound mixer, but you got to learn from the actors and from, you know, the other production. That is so valuable to me.
It was a good vantage point to watch the industry and the sound department as a whole from the utility position. So yeah, the utility cart is a Magliner Mini that I had these posts built taller.
Nice.
I wanted it to go even taller for this. It speaks to anyone who has an artistic mind. There's something about colors and stimulation.
Yes.
And this is practical too. Like it's more visible in a darker set. I've always had, well, always, but for a long time, I've had custom cut foam from that website. It's a company in New Jersey. Their bread and butter is gun cases, but they'll laser cut any design, and they have a design app tool on their website.
I think I know which website you're talking about. I love this company. What are they called again?
MyCaseBuilder.com.
MyCaseBuilder.com.
But only as of like a year ago, they started offering the colored tops. So I decided to do yellow for the lavs.
What else?
Just because, I don't know why blue spoke to me. Maybe because Sheps often comes in blues.
Look how beautiful this is. I just want to open this little
the
box.
little CMIT
Look at
mini.
that.
And then Sennheiser is red. You gotta have Sennheisers, as much as I'm a Sheps guy. And it depends on the project.
It totally does.
And it depends on the actor's voice.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't switch between a Sheps and a 50 in the middle of a scene or anything
Yeah.
like that, but sometimes I'll go with the vibe of a Sheps for a certain space. And sometimes the last show I did, the 50 really was the mic for the whole show. This microphone I bought, it's the 416. It's not everyone's favorite mic.
I
but
love that.
I think it's a great
Yeah,
mic. It sounds
very
good.
versatile.
I mean, if you're stuck in the jungle and you need to take one mic, they say take this one, but
Yep.
those debates are endless.
Yep.
But I bought this in film school with money that I should have been spending on books. And it was student
You
loan
obviously
money.
made the right choice.
Yeah, so 22 years later, still in my kit.
What is this, the IFB drawer?
Yeah. I've all the
Nice.
8, I have more than there's
Look
in
at
here.
this.
I have 8
Wow.
VHF and 8 UHF, but those are all public line.
Okay.
I have 2 more of these VHF, but I took them out because I thought they're in a case somewhere. They're in a Pelican. If we need to go over that, the utility can go get more of them.
Yeah.
But I almost wanted to keep this for ease of inventory for the utility.
Of course,
So it's
yeah.
like, there's 8 and there's 8, so there's no question on if you've got them
Beautiful.
all back or not. I bet your viewers know Fernando Muga. He builds those Muga covers for racks.
I've
he
seen
builds
them.
covers for the Cantar. He builds
Yeah.
covers for CL12. He's
Did
excellent.
he make these soft drawers?
He made these
Oh, how
exactly to my
nice.
specification. So there's 2 of them just like that. And then this one is all for plant mic GAC.
Oh, lovely. So when you are doing plant mics, what are you working with here?
My latest, I've been able to get rid of a lot of plant mic GAC because these have worked out so well. I used to carry those magic arms that were huge,
Yeah.
and these you don't need to do anything. You don't need to do. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's reaching for me.
Let's see where I want to mount this. But Cardellini seems to clamp really well to any surface.
That is super cool.
These are just super easy to
you could get
position
this
the
up
mic
in a
anywhere.
doorway or
Yeah.
wherever.
And I use all the Sound Guy Solutions quick releases, so
Those
I just
are
have
great.
enough to just leave them on all the plant mic ones as well.
What are some of your favorite plant mics? Like, what would you use out of your kit?
Probably those Sennheiser 8050s. Yeah. On Schooled, we had a whole not really roller coaster, but it was like a school dance, but they were riding in this little train track through the gym. And we couldn't boom anywhere. They were inside a tunnel.
Yeah.
So boom operator planted a mic right in front of him, but it was on this, so he was able to work
Get
with
it
the camera
right in
operator
there,
and get it right
yeah.
on the edge of frame. So
God,
it
that's
was great.
great.
These I'll leave out because these haven't really found a home yet. These are my Voice of God mics for
Aw,
ADs,
Nice.
but they have
Classic
the
ones.
little switch,
Oh,
little classic
beautiful.
SM58. And it's you can just order them special from Shure to have the switch on them. This one's all about wireless, which is why I
Okay.
do want it to come out if we were to be somewhere else, like on a gator for 2 weeks or on a yacht for 2 weeks. Leave it all built together, but the top one has the lavs and the accessories.
Beautiful. Can I just dig in here? Is
Yeah,
that
of
all
course.
right?
DPAs.
DPAs, my favorite.
Sankens.
Ooh, I
Ursa
recognize
strips.
this.
Yeah.
So soft. I love these.
Definitely have Ursa strips. I have some vampire clips in here.
Those are awesome too.
What are these called?
These are Hydamite.
Hydamites,
Yeah.
yes. I don't keep a lot of these clips on. I don't use a lot of clips. We mostly use
The pouches.
yeah, the pouches and thigh packs and ankle packs and things like that.
So-
But you got to have them around.
Yeah, when you're preparing for a new show, you're replenishing expendables. Do you buy new straps and mounts?
Yeah.
Usually you do, okay.
I mean, we launder them throughout a show, like
Yeah.
a whole bunch of straps here. But these are all on the way out. I'm gonna order all brand new ones for the next show.
Okay.
But during a show, we'll write their names on it.
Yep.
We'll launder them. And I hate to waste them. I could probably launder these, but I just feel like the vibe is going to be, people are going to feel more comfortable with new things.
Absolutely.
And
You
if-
open a new pack right in front
Yeah.
of them. They know it's theirs.
And after that, it won't be new, but it'll be dedicated to that character.
Absolutely.
So these are all great, and these have served me good, and we've laundered them. But yeah, we're going to freshen up the supply on
Nice.
that first Expendables order of my next show. And then Lav Bullet, that's a sound
Nice.
mixer who makes things, Gene Martin. Before the Lav Bullet
Gene's
came out, a bunch of
awesome.
us built these back in
Oh
the
my
early days,
God.
where we obviously took the sharp thing off of the
this
fishing
is
lure.
brilliant.
A lot of the actors, and this is not to
love
say anything
this.
negative about Gene's products, because they're great too.
Yeah.
But a lot of the actors end up liking that one better. They're like, oh, it just works better.
It's just so cute.
It's heavy and it's
Yeah.
thin, so it just really works its way down a full-on trouser, you know. This is just the
Oh, yes.
disposable battery drawer.
Some time
plus
code.
spare rechargeables.
Yep.
Mophie batteries
Oh, great.
for people to charge. I used to
You are
carry...
so generous for keeping these. I know so many sound mixers who would be like, get the hell away
I
from
mean,
my
I don't know
cart.
what's going to happen post-COVID either, because
Yeah.
I used to keep a charging station up here for everyone's phones.
Yeah.
You know,
You're gonna get so much hate for this in the comments.
Well,
just so you know.
I'm going to not do it. I'm actually not going to do the charging station anymore because I think it creates too many touch points in a COVID world.
I think that's true.
Already without COVID, it was, you know, crew or actors are here and they're totally in the utilities way. But I would put it here because I wanted to provide something for the crew. This always has power. But now we have like a secret one.
I like
It's
it.
this. So the utility can charge his phone in here, the boom operator can charge their phone, but it's not a public thing.
I think that's smart.
I think people will understand that I won't have it. I'm just going to say that it's protocol because it probably will be protocol to not have it. When you buy these iPowers, you probably have some of these maybe.
I don't have those yet, no.
They come with a 4-bank charger. So in order to have a good amount of batteries, it takes up too much room in the drawer. I used to have 2 drawers for battery chargers, and I was able to scale it down to
This
1.
is nice.
Because Gene Martin of Sound Guy Solutions makes this as well. I used to have 4 of just the chargers that, I don't know, if Canon or Fuji or whoever would make it, and they plug into a power strip.
Totally.
So I had a little power strip in here, and
This
it
is
took
so
up
much
way too much
nicer.
space.
Yeah.
This consolidated that like a dream. And it's brilliant. Like he made it so you can, it's idiot proof. You can put the battery in backwards and it's still,
That's great.
he put pins in it so that it works either way.
Oh my God.
Obviously the lock gets charged with USB, so that's why the main reason that this station is in here.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to be able to charge a lot of 9 volts, so that's why I got 2 Tenergies. These Tenergies got horrible reviews on Amazon,
Really?
but so far they've been working out great. But the true test will be on the next show.
Yeah.
And I saved some spare 4-bank ones made by iPower in case I need to
Cool. That's
tear
a good
these
idea.
out. But I mean, it's such a space saver, and
It
like,
really is.
that's
And
a
even
huge
like
goal these
this
days.
detail you added to keep
Oh,
the
yeah.
cables in place, it really is just so nicely organized.
Yeah, I don't want anything to get snagged. There's a little cable guide back there too, that's done in a similar wire tie way, so that this drawer can come in and out, and the cable is always going to flow together in a, you know, in a cluster.
And then what's this here?
Oh yeah, this is a portable battery pack. It's a 300-watt battery pack. Everything in the drawer, even these plug in to like a cluster of power strips back there.
Can we turn this around?
Sure, yeah.
I'd love to see the
And
back.
The beauty of that is like now it's unplugged. It's not on
Yes.
shore power anymore, but we're still lit up.
We're on the battery.
Oh yeah, you know what? It's covered. But
Oh my God.
back behind this rack panel
I'm sorry, I can't hear anything you're saying because of this
There's-
adorable trash can.
for batteries, battery recycling.
I love this. Sorry, go on.
No worries. It is a pretty messy cable cluster.
We
back
just
there,
won't open
so,
that. Yeah, that
it's
takes
just-
care of that.
It's covered, but these 2 feed power strips that are mounted to the back of the drawers, and that's where all the battery chargers are all plugged into all at once.
Great.
And then also the little lights run down to there. So then everything runs back up to this little AC cable, and then to this Hubble right angle cable.
That's beautiful.
Into the battery. So this is always on. It's always charging. I would say the first thing the utility will do in the morning is, you know, just even before they unload it off the truck, just to get a head start on the batteries, just flip it on.
Ooh,
batteries are starting to charge.
It lets you know it's on.
It's like I'm on, but the beauty, it doesn't beep when it loses power.
That's great. Woo! This is so nice.
Yeah, this is just Orca umbrellas where they're like any other umbrella. They're pretty heavy duty, but the key,
this is nice.
Yeah, it's like this is aluminum machined, and it has a 3/8 thread on the bottom.
Wow.
Yeah, the cleaning cart.
So you told me that you just had an extra cart lying around. You had it painted red and had these stripes put on it. I love this.
I had plenty of time on my hands. I mean, it still looked like we were staring at months in front of us and this COVID thing. And like a lot of other people, just trying to problem solve, like, what do I think I'm going to need? We're going to obviously be cleaning more. It was always part of the plan to have, to upgrade to that follow cart. So this was definitely on the chopping block as far as selling it. But I thought, you know, it might be really handy. And I have because I build my own carts, for my company, I have a relationship with a powder coat company. I went and picked out the fire engine red I wanted on the swatches.
Yeah.
The key to it, as much as it is like a little silly gimmick that it's bright red, is that it's visible.
Oh, absolutely.
That if it may be a little shaky the first couple days of a shoot, but definitely while we're on stage and we all like find our little staging areas, it'll just be understood by production. Like if you have equipment to bring back, you have your Comtex, your guests are leaving.
Fire
you have like a PA might grab a pack from an actor, which theoretically is a no-no, but we all know that it's gonna happen anyway. That instead of it going over there, that ends up being like a clean zone. The follow cart should be, it's like our cars. Like lately I still like hand sanitize before I get in the car, even if I didn't see anybody. I just want it to be a sanctuary, like it's clean. So the follow cart should be a clean zone, because actors might be getting wired there depending on how the production does it. So this is the dirty zone. It's like, put stuff here, it has the stuff, has a automatic hand sanitizer.
I love that
thing. I think I'm gonna get like some kind of cup holder.
Brilliant.
And then it's touchless. We've always cleaned our transmitters, but I have a feeling we're gonna be cleaning them more than we used to. If we're all being honest with ourselves, we've always cleaned them and alcohol wiped down. So you get a sweaty
I mean, they get kind of gross.
Actor. But it's probably gonna be more attention to detail now than it used to be. So I just thought, as much as it's something I can't sell, it's worth having this, making it similar to how I like dumb, stupid things. I wanted to decorate it like an ambulance and put a fire extinguisher on it, but it also has a practical use.
It does.
There's flammable things here.
Of course.
There's probably not going to be a fire.
But if there is, you're prepared.
We're ready. We're ready for anything.
I love that. That is so fun. This was really fun to see. I think this speaks so much to our industry, that it's full of people who are creative, who are adaptable, who are just
problem solvers.
Absolutely, yeah.
This really may be the wrong approach.
We'll find out.
But it's uncharted territory, and it's it's a Wild West. And if it can be a safe Wild West, then we're all going to be better for it.
I think so.
So I think we'll just have to err on the side of safety. And stack the deck as much as we can.
Totally.
And this is part of stacking the deck,
I agree.
in my opinion. It's something I thought I could do. So.
Going further into that realm, how about we go now and we talk a little bit about the soft prep you're doing for your next show?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, I've always had this soft prep, whether it's 4 weeks or 3 weeks or sometimes even 6 weeks. But definitely with this pandemic, this has been the longest soft prep I've ever had. And I also kind of figured it was going to work out this way. The timing of this kit is so interesting because I ended school in March, right when we wrapped right on March 13th, and I was supposed to start another show a month later, and it was going to be a pretty hurried build to completely tear out my old cart, put what I needed in this, set up the Kantar, ready for my next show. But 4 weeks, that's a reasonable amount of time. Ended up having 6 months to do this. So once the pandemic hit and our show Dear White People got pushed, I was like, well, I'm either going to have a couple of months longer or it could be a really long haul. So I started intentionally slow rolling every little element of the build that I was doing. It almost gave it like a new meaning of the word soft prep that I always do. And what I mean by soft prep is like the hard prep is like the 2 or 3 days that you get where you're maybe location scouting, where you're loading in, where you're actually pulling your gear onto the stage, maybe even doing a camera test, but that's its own thing as well. Scanning for frequencies on the stage or the backlot that you're going to be spending the rest of your time on. But the soft prep is more anticipatory. It's more theoretical. This whole system I designed first on a flow chart, really just to wrap my head around it, because using the Aton stuff was completely new to me. Welcome to my little workshop.
Are those all things you've worked on the wall?
Yeah.
I love it. That's so beautiful.
Maybe the way my brain works, I need to do flow charts to like really plan things out, and sometimes it ends up changing the equipment that I buy. I do the flow chart and I go, nope, that's not going to work. I need to completely go in a different direction, and this goes out the window. But this is the latest. I designed the current system the same way, and it worked out good. And just as to be expected, I had to make a bunch of changes after I built a flow chart, and then the final iteration is a little bit different. And so this is an evolution for that. But I've been anticipating a lot of little things for what's coming up post-COVID with, I'm building a couple of director comm systems where they don't need to hold the mic, that if they're just sitting there at Video Village, that I'll have a gooseneck mic that they can just push to talk, keeping the touch zones lower.
Yeah.
You saw the bullhorns that are making their way out. I'm going to do a lot more with wireless speakers, but not necessarily for music or for dialogue playback, but just for communication.
Yeah. Because we're going to be farther spread out, it seems. Yeah.
So just little things that I can anticipate. Another soft prep project I had was testing out the Dante protocol for these receivers.
Yeah.
And I pulled them out and I tested out how far I can run. And,
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Tried out a couple different kind of network switches to see which ones worked. Figuring out there's an analog box I need to buy so that I can feed the IFB transmitters when all of that GAC is front of house and I'm tucked away somewhere. And it's just a matter of testing all that stuff and putting it through its paces. The soft prep I've been going through is a little bit different. I mean, everything's been a little bit of a project. Now that most of it is in my rearview mirror, it's actually harder to talk about because I'm like, what have I been doing?
Yeah.
But like, these carts didn't exist in April.
Oh my God,
like,
really?
I mean, in their form now.
Yeah.
Like, this was a Death Star skeleton without anything patched and it was not working. This I was still taking delivery of. That didn't exist. So I've done a lot during this soft prep, but it's almost hard to quantify because it's a collection of little tiny projects.
You said that you've been coming into your office every day and while you're doing other stuff, you just power the whole system on and just let it run.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that...
It's a brand new system and it's all new pieces and it's all new brain or heart of the system or whatever this may be. And I definitely need to build a lot of trust with it. What you'll hear from other Kantar users is I have to just learn it. I mean, now I've learned it, but I didn't, it took a while to learn it. So it's pretty, it's not that it's so tricky, it's that it's different.
Well, I mean, that really is a plus side of all of this. I can say that for myself with other projects I'm working on. I've gotten back into composing music, which is something that I had really put aside in favor of just, you know, growing my location sound career, which I love so much, but there was a part of me that was missing music. So
definitely
this quarantine time, I think it really is, it's hard for sure. The uncertainty is the hardest part, but what you're doing with it is really the most important thing.
When the pandemic first hit, I, in a hurry, had to go get all my gear from Sony because we were just going to leave it there and they were going to say, when it's all clear, you guys can come wrap out your stuff. The line producer said, if I were you, I would come get it. We don't know if we're going to lose access to the Sony lot for a long time. So I went and got the majority of my stuff. I stuffed it into the room and I walked away for like 2 or 3 weeks and just stayed home, terrified. I mean, I make it sound worse than it was and more dramatic, but
I understand,
you know, none of us really knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, of course.
And like, there's so much more COVID around us now than there was back in March when we were all like freaking out. But I didn't touch any of this because it just didn't seem like that's what was going on. It felt like a little bit of survival mode, like it was all about beating the rush to the grocery store. But then I started gradually coming back to the office, knowing what I had to do in front of me. I had to strip down the old cart, pull what I needed out of it. I sold the old cart that looks just like this, but with this has some minor improvements. But I had a lot of work in front of me. I had this whole rig pretty much from scratch. I think I had barely roughed in the shelves and had my plan on how to move forward. I still had all that project to go. The cage that Brett built wasn't painted yet.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I have maybe 6 more weeks left of this soft prep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to continue the slow pace in the next couple projects that I have left of gear building. And aside from that, I'm ready to get back to work. Like, I missed the set, you know.
Yeah, me too. Well, thank you so much for showing us what you've been up to in this quarantine period and where you're headed with your cart.
Thank you. Thanks for coming by, you guys.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. Thanks.